Carmen, I'm gonna have Steve start it. You go first. That sounds okay? I want to thank everyone for your patience. Steve Merlino is going to get things started here for us. Carmen will speak first. We're going to try to be quick. We know it's a big game tonight. Chiefs and Eagles, so try to get you home fairly soon. Hopefully a good game. But everybody got to settle in, do more scheduling stuff at the end. We're going to try to get rolling here. And so find a seat somewhere. It's not going to be critical. You see the screen. But it will be important that you can kind of settle in, be quiet, and listen up.
Hey, I'd rather not use the microphone. Quiet down a little for me.
Well, at least stand there because I lined up the camera for there.
Oh, sorry.
That's all right.
The camera.
You don't,
gotta use the microphone.
You don't have to use the mic, but at least be in the neighborhood.
Listen, excited about a new season. We got some announcements to make. Maybe we'll give you a little more detail in a while. But thank you to a bunch of people who participated on the New England Council and our buddy Sarah Jadek back there. We have a Gals New England tournament. Okay, so let's have a round of applause for that. That took a lot of meetings to get together, and I think we did a nice job of it. And there'll be more information in the packet, and more information coming down the line. We're going to start tonight. We're going to go. You know, a lot we're in traffic, and we want to get you out of here. We're going to start tonight without any further ado with Carmen Delvecchio. Is going to talk to you about rule changes and whatnot.
If I could just mention again, the Chromebook is going around, especially new coaches.
Hey guys, there's a sign-in sheet on the Chromebook going around. Make sure you get on that before you leave. Also, Kevin Holmgren's going around right now, and he's trying to make sure whatever tournaments you have for the year, we've got to find out how many mats you're using and start times and stuff like that. So if you have not talked to myself or Kevin yet, make sure you get with him before you go. We got to have that. Okay. Start off. My name is Carmen Delvecchio. I'm the rules interpreter for Connecticut. I'm the head of the officials of Connecticut and also the arbiter administrator. We're going to talk about the arbiter a little bit, especially for all you new guys. But before I do, I'm the commissioner and assigner for Fairfield County. Kevin Holmgren over there that's walking around is the commissioner and the assigner for Hartford County. He goes from Enfield all the way up to Waterbury, that area. And Bob Woods is the assigner for the shoreline, goes down to Killingly and Griswold, down that way, all the way up to New Haven. Okay, so if you're in that area and you have any kind of issue with scheduling or you have to cancel a match or whatever, you got to look up your commissioner, and you'll find all of our names and information in a packet that Dave passed out. Okay, so you can get any of us at any time. Most of the time during the week, if there's an issue, we're on the mats because we are short guys again, but we'll get to you very quickly.
You're not all short.
No, not all. Gotcha. Nam Tran, by the way, handles all the middle school assignments and handles all of JV tournaments. And basically, if you have a JV dual meet, he'll handle that too. So he's on the arbiter too. You'll be able to look him up, and that's it. All right. So for your new guys with the arbiter is our assigning tool. Okay. So if you are new and you are not on the arbiter right now, you've got to take down my information, and tomorrow or Monday or whatever, you've got to email me with your name, your address, your email address, and your phone number. Okay. And what I will do is I will take your name, connect you to the school. And once I do that, I will send you a welcome letter. You'll see a welcome letter from the arbitersports.com. When you see it, you'll open it. And once you open it and accept it, you'll then be connected to all your schools. Okay. Your school. And what you'll be able to see is who your official is, what time your match is, all of that. Now, if by some chance you don't see it on the arbiter, that means that either you or your athletic director didn't get the matches into the arbiter, and you better call your assigner right away. Okay. That's why we're going around with this list right now, because half the tournaments are not even in yet, and we're already starting to assign for the year. All right, so we're gonna get on that as soon as we can, but open your welcome letter, go through it. It's pretty simple. You can follow right through and you'll see all your teams and your matches and
Department,
Yes.
school has to sign it, has to put it on the CF.
say it again, I'm sorry.
Home school has to put it on the CF.
Yeah, so you or your athletic director, if you have a home match, you guys are responsible for putting it on there. And I'll tell you what's happened, a couple of guys that I've walked through, the matches are not even on there yet. So if you go on there and know you have a dual or a quad, and it's not on that arbiter on your home site, it's not there, you're not gonna have a referee. All right, so you gotta get on that site and check your schedule, and I recommend highly that you check your schedule weekly, guys. Okay, go to it, make sure the time's right, because that's what my referees are going to figure out what time they're gonna be there and if there is a match. Likewise, if there's cancellation, snow, whatever, your athletic director puts it through the arbiter, I get it right away, and it goes to the referee. So if something happens and you change from 5 o'clock to 6 o'clock, if the arbiter didn't get it, I didn't get it, the referee didn't get it. Okay, so if you check it weekly and you make sure the times are right and everything, then you'll have your referees and everything will be fairly simple. Okay, let's see here, checking weekly. This year again, guys, we have a major shortage of officials. Last year, we were down to about 55. We need 75 to really complete the year and be able to have extra officials on tournaments and all that stuff. We're now under 50. Okay, so like last year, I'm gonna ask you that, you know, you may get a phone call from your assigner that says, hey guys, listen, we don't have the guys to be able to do your match. You may have to bump it up a day or, you know, move it ahead a week or whatever you have to, or join with another team. Last year, we lucked out. There was a snow day one day, and that was the only day we were gonna be in trouble. This year, the first day of the, I think it's 12/13, December 13th, we have, I think 45 matches on the docket with only, you know, 49 guys or something like that. And a lot of those guys aren't experienced guys. So I'm gonna ask you a couple things. Number one, I'm gonna ask you that you have some patience, because some of you guys are gonna get some very new green guys. It's gonna happen, and I ask that you kind of coach them through it if you have to. Okay, if there's issues and you bring them to the table and whatever, just be patient, because we're gonna have maybe 5, 10 new guys in addition to those 49, but they're gonna be on some of your matches. Okay. Yeah.
How does one become a referee? Where can we refer people who are interested in becoming a referee?
What you can do is, if you have anybody that's interested, and it's really not too late right now, we're still getting some applications now. Unfortunately, the guys that are coming in now aren't gonna be helpful for this year. You know, next year, I'm sure we'll be able to develop them over the course of the year. But what you should be doing is, all you have to do is go to your assigner, send the information. Once you send the information to us, we submit it to our secretary treasurer, Kelly Murphy. He'll send a packet. The packet has in it, the dates of the test. It has in it, you know, what you have to pay, the initial dues, all of that. And you can still do it up until, you know, another week or two. So if you have anybody that's interested, let us know. We'll get it to the right guy, and we can hopefully get some more guys. Also, the younger guys, if you have kids that want to do it, you have high school kids that actually want to officiate, USA Wrestling is out there, and they do little kid tournaments right through the season. So they take a test and everything else. Sarah, Mark Camisa, those guys are in charge of that. And I'm sure if you contact Sarah, she'll give you the information. You can get these kids started so that 5 years from now, they join our association. And, you know, I'm sure it's almost every weekend or every couple of weekends, Sarah, right? So, so, you know what, we can get those kids started.
Just a reminder, if you know your school sports schedule, take a look at it, be proactive. For instance, that opening Wednesday night. If your school does not have a basketball game on Thursday the 14th, and you can check with the other school and check with your assigner, any week that you can move off of a Wednesday with any kind of availability, Tuesday, Thursday, based on basketball and your AD and your school, they would greatly appreciate that, because there's only so many officials.
And last year, you guys were good about that. We did have matches Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, all last year. And it's gotten better. Like I said, you may get a phone call that says, guys, listen, I can't help you with this match. You're gonna have to move it. Okay, so that's that. All right, that's all I got. We're gonna go through the rule changes quickly. Good.
Well, did you want to?
There's we'll do that as soon as I'm done. All right. Okay. So there's only a few rule changes that are pretty pertinent to what we're doing here, but the first one is Rule 1-4-3. It talks about representation. No wrestler shall represent the school in more than one weight class in any meet or wrestle more than 5 matches in a day. Okay. That excludes forfeits. With the rule change, now they allow 6 matches. Okay. What they tell you is basically after experiments were conducted by the state associations last year, there was no reported increase of injuries. So allowing 6 matches during regular season events is a normal progression and will be monitored throughout the season. Okay. So now there's no longer going to be the ties for 3rd place, most likely, and all of that. You're allowed to wrestle 6.
As long as you're a 16-man bracket. Please don't take this as an invitation to bump up to like 32-man brackets, because you'll be in the same boat unless you do straight drop downs from semis. You won't be able to wrestle for 3rd and 5th. It's intended to allow for a 16-man bracket to be wrestled to its completion in a one-day event.
Also, guys, no contestant shall wrestle in more than 10 matches in 2 consecutive days. So even though it's 6 on one day, 10 is the maximum for the 2-day tournaments. Okay. Next, Article 1.-4-4. It talks about a 30-minute rest now instead of the 45. So we've gone down to 30 minutes. That also helps us go to 6 matches in a day, and that is in effect this year. Next, it talks about the referee, 3-1-1, and all it talks about is that referees can now have white on their shoes. You know, it's important to you guys. I've been thinking about that. It came true. We can wear white tags on or whatever. If you notice the college guys all have the white on their Nike stripes or whatever. They're allowed to do that now. Okay. Next, 4-1.1a, we talk about a legal uniform. One-piece singlet cut no lower in the back or front than the level of the armpits or under the arms. The main thing on this rule is that now they can wear tights under the singlet. They don't have to have stirrups anymore. Remember in the past years they used to have stirrups on. They no longer have to do that. The one-piece singlet may be worn in full length, form-fitted tights, no stirrups. That was the only change there. Article 4-2-1 talks about wrestlers' appearance and health. Just like in college now, you can have facial hair. Okay, so a couple of years ago we went to no, it doesn't matter the length of the hair. Now facial hair and the length of the facial hair does not matter either. Okay, so we're not going to be looking. Although we do talk about if there's any kind of skin condition that you can see through the beard, it does have to be checked by the trainer or on-site physician or whatever. But right now there's no restrictions on that. Okay, so as you can see, more and more they're going towards college rules. Okay, 5-13, that just talks about forfeits and medical forfeits. It shall be considered a medical forfeit when an opponent fails to appear for a match due to injury or illness that occurred during the tournament. Okay, this determination will be made by the tournament director. The rationale behind this is that the term medical forfeit will better describe that the forfeit was due to an injury or illness that occurred during the tournament. A medical forfeit would not count against the wrestler's record. All right.
And in high school, still no forfeit counts as a loss. College is very specific this year with their change about medical forfeits and when it counts as a loss. High school is still no forfeit, but they were trying to really clarify that difference between an injury default, which is a match that has begun and the wrestler gets injured in the match, that is a loss. And a medical forfeit, which was not a term that was used for high school, even though some tournament directors still used it in entering results instead of just a forfeit. But it can go into medical forfeit. But again, any forfeit loss does not count on your varsity one-loss record.
And in a tournament, forfeit won't count as a win, is that correct?
No, it will.
Injury defaults never did.
Injury defaults did.
From the match it did, but not if you got the subsequent match.
Yeah, you can leave that in as a win.
Only one though, right? No, every round.
If
I mean, you're supposed to.
you would still, that's still, you go in,
You don't get lost.
losses don't count they don't count anyway. The forfeits do not count as losses.
Okay. In Article 5, under the same situation, a forfeit shall eliminate a contestant from further competition in a tournament, except when the forfeit is deemed a medical forfeit because of an injury or illness, which we just talked about. Okay. Section 5-15-2 talks about inbounds. Now, guys, supporting points, they've changed the supporting points. Before it was the knees, the side of the thigh, the hands, the head. Now they've added feet or foot count as supporting points. Okay, so I have feet are the regularly supporting wrestler's weight during the match while on the mat. We allow wrestler's feet to be considered supporting points while in a near fall situation. By adding it to the usual points, the usual supporting points on the mat, it will create more clarity and consistency for the wrestlers, coaches, and officials. No higher rates of injury will occur with this addition. Okay. But 5-15C goes on and says, in a pinning situation, when all parts of the defensive wrestler's shoulders and scapula are beyond the boundary line, the offensive wrestler's knees must be inside the boundary line, whether in contact or above the mat. Okay, same as last year. If the guy is totally out of bounds, defensive guy is totally out of bounds, and offensive guy has him in a pinning combination, as long as the knees are in bounds, inside or on the line, as soon as they go out, we blow the match out. Okay, but as long as those knees are in on the offensive guy, only the offensive guy, we continue to wrestle and can score and pin from that point. Now, we're talking about supporting points. If I'm on the side of the mat and I have one foot in and the other guy has one knee in, we're still wrestling. We're not going to stop it. Now, they did do an addendum to this. And that is that, again, getting closer to the college rules, if everybody's out of bounds and I have one leg, one knee in and one toe in and everything else is out of bounds, we're going to continue wrestling. And what is that doing? We're getting to the point where it's almost like college, where all you have to do is have a toe or a finger in, and we keep going. Little by little, they're getting closer to that. So now I've got a knee in on the same leg and a toe. Everything else is out of bounds. We're still going to wrestle. Okay. If I have a toe in and the other guy's got a hand in, we're still going to wrestle. Supporting point is a toe. Supporting point is a hand. But if I'm out of bounds and I have a toe in and a knee, a toe and a knee, and I'm holding the guy, as soon as they turn them over, unless both knees are in, I got to blow that out of bounds. All right. So it's not really confusing, but it's good.
But when you're on your back,
Yeah.
the person on their back,
Yes.
both knees have to be in, but they don't have to be on the mat.
Correct.
They can be above.
It's a cylinder, guys, right? So you can be above the cylinder or on the cylinder, as long as it's inside. But the second that one knee goes off, they blow it out of bounds. Yeah,
They consider chin down the whole time until they get put on their back. And
that's correct.
the second that happens,
If one of the knees, if I only have a toe in and one knee in, and I'm still wrestling, I'm not going to blow him out of bounds. But if he turns them over and I only have one knee in, he's out of bounds.
Is there
Makes
reaction
sense? Not
time
really,
to
but that's the way it
is there reaction time to the foot and the knee? Like if you go down with 1 foot in and then you put your feet out right away, is that taking?
Yeah, I think we're just gonna fill that out.
And are they,
Throw it out.
Yeah,
are they out or can you just not get back points or a fall?
hold on, guys. They are still in bounds, but you cannot get near fall points or a fall unless both knees are in or on that mat.
So you don't have to whistle it as out because you've turned the man to his back, but you cannot secure back points or a fall unless you can drag him in such that your knees are within.
Yeah.
Okay,
Knees gotta be
just
in
wanted to
before
clarify that.
Go ahead.
But are you instructing your guys to whistle out as soon as that first knee goes out?
No, because supporting points could be a toe, right? Now we got a foot as a supporting point. So no. Because we're gonna wrestle, the idea is to wrestle as long as you can on that mat and not keep stopping the match. So that's why we're gonna let it go until the point is, you know, if there's only one toe in, yeah, then we'll blow it out. Everybody understand it, guys?
Requiring that knee to go down, which is the stupid part of the back points to start.
Yeah,
You got a guy that's got a foot on, and you're gonna keep telling him to put the knee down 2 seconds.
if it's inside the cylinder, yeah.
No, but you keep saying that.
No, I understand.
He knows. Yes, sir.
No, you need two
Hey,
supporting.
guys,
Stop, I can't.
Tough to hear the question, and we're also recording so other people who missed it can hear, so it's better to be quieter.
Okay.
As long as you have one toe in, you can take that.
Still.
One from you, one
Chris.
from you.
Yeah.
But if it's feet to back, that's
If it's what?
To get back points.
To get back points or get flag.
Cradle situation, offensive.
Hold on, guys, I gotta hear it, guys. Hold on.
Cradle situation.
Yep,
Offensive wrestlers going out of bounds, defensive wrestlers in.
yep.
Still let them run.
If, as long as the shoulder or something is on the inside, I'll do near fall, yeah. Yep. Okay, we got that, guys? And again, it's getting closer to college. Within a few years, we're hoping that it's just like that, 1 foot in, that's it, we keep going. We don't have to keep stopping it like we're doing right now, but for now, that's what we're gonna live with.
Just buy bigger mats.
Okay.
Two supporting points.
Okay, this is 40 points, guys. Last thing, guys. Last thing, guys. End of match procedure. Because of COVID, the referee does not have to touch your wrestler, raise his hand. He has a choice whether to do that or just to point to the wrestler and make him raise his hand. So you will see that. There's a lot of guys that don't want to touch these kids. Can't blame them. Sweaty guys.
Are you gonna do a little point of emphasis on the girls' uniform?
I'll do it right now.
Thank you. Sorry.
No
I'm
problem.
not gonna announce it.
Okay, so that's the end of the rules, guys. And we have a couple of points of emphasis that we're gonna talk about. There's only 4 of them, so I'll go through it quick. They talk in points of emphasis about uniform decorum, excessive celebration, default versus forfeit, which we kind of already talked about, and then concealment of communicable diseases, skin conditions, stuff like that. So the first thing I want to talk about, they talk about with an increase of more than 30,000 girls entering our sport this last school year, and more expected to join the ranks, girls being issued a boys' uniform is no longer practical or reasonable. Okay, obviously boys and girls have different anatomies and require different types of uniforms. It is highly recommended that girls are issued girls' cut singlets or 2-piece uniforms. The design of the girls' cut style uniform reduces the risk of exposure during wrestling competition. Okay, so with the increase of all the girls, we want to make sure. Now, last year we had an issue where there's a lot of sports bras that are do not cover completely. So we recommended that the girls wear some type of Under Armour with a crew neck. Okay, we're still recommending that. They recommend that, but regardless, it's got to have full coverage. Go ahead, Sarah.
There are high cut sports bras for you guys. No.
Yes.
Just so I know this, Pat. But they're high cut, so like they look like a almost normal t-shirt that come up to their neck. And I would recommend the girls. There is that. Are you reading off the
Oh, yeah.
PDF? If we could send that to them, there's a PDF that the National has sent out that actually shows you the different types, that you could show the girls and say you need the high cut ones, which will cover it.
Yep.
You know, like normal ones aren't working, and some girls, they don't realize, especially in high school, they don't realize that there is a difference between the sports bra, so you gotta emphasize the high cut. And then they should be able to find it. I mean, you can go on Google and
Yep, good.
Won't the reps say when you're checking nails, check the girl?
Most of the time now, they're in a uniform as it is, and it's hard to tell at that point, but once they're down on the mat or whatever, you know, we had the low cut everywhere last year, including girls tournaments, everything else, and that's what we're trying to prevent here. So, go ahead, Dave.
So just if the girl has a girl singlet on,
Yeah.
she still has to have an undergarment.
Oh, yeah.
It's really, they have to have an undergarment on, but you know, I want the coaches to make sure that it is, you know, fully covered.
They cannot just wear a girl singlet.
Well, if it's high enough and there's no exposure, I guess they could.
Girl, I mean, I'm just saying, a girl
Yeah,
singlet.
you're supposed to wear a sports bra no matter what, huh? Yeah, you gotta wear that, oh yeah. This can't just. Hold on, guys, listen up.
Yeah, no, I'm just, I know it all makes sense, but it just, what happens is at every match, nobody knows what's going on, you know what I mean? Like we had an issue with the girls' tournaments, whatever. I just want to make sure everybody in here has the same idea what's.
A high sports bra.
So they should have an
I wanted to
undergarment.
say that I thought was the better rule was, you know, the Under Armour that's tight, you know, just the t-shirt, which covered everything nice. So, Sarah, I don't know, you know, just the general knowledge, if they were to wear that and they're okay with it, it makes me plus.
it does, yeah. And can they be, do they have to have
No.
sleeveless,
No.
sleeves, does it matter?
What I'm
No.
saying is, you know,
They could be
we're looking at
sleeveless.
that, we're covering the area that we want.
Right. And like I said, the high cut sports bras will do the exact same job, so it's either or.
Do you meet with them as a group?
Not high school girls, you know, but that's why we can send out the PDF with all the coaches.
Yeah.
So they.
All right, listen up, guys.
So what I'm saying to all you coaches, or not you, we're just saying, if you can get a, you know, black Under Armour, just a tight fitted shirt, it makes things a lot simpler. But if they want to fight it, then.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, with an undergarment, the girl has a female singlet, that's good. Then it's higher, they're high, much higher.
Well, yeah, but we're still saying the sports bra has got to be worn. We don't want.
Yes, no,
it's not gonna cover anything
extra.
Yeah. So guys, the bottom line is your responsibility to make sure when these girls go out to the mat, that they are properly equipped, and we don't have to send them back and say, you know, you gotta go change, you get an injury time, minute and a half and all that stuff. Make sure you take care of that, okay? That's it for that. Excessive celebration, guys. Wrestling consists of two similar sized athletes using their skill, technique, and strengths. One wrestler has to win, unfortunately, the other guy has to lose. We're observing that some of the celebrations have become excessive and over the top, doing flips on the mat, stuff like that becomes excessive. So embarrassing the opponent does not add to the win. It tarnishes the sport that they are dedicated themselves to and have found success in high school. Bottom line is, guys, and even on the podium, I think we had an issue last year where some of the guys were on the podium taking pictures after they won the states and doing the fisheye thing or all that stuff. That stuff is uncalled for, and it's you know, it does tarnish the sport. So please, you know, talk to them about excessive celebration. Talk to them about winning like a gentleman and, you know, or girl or whatever, and you know, do it properly. That's excessive celebration. The fall and forfeit we already talked about, and then finally the concealment of skin condition. Just make sure if they're wearing a full beard that you notice if they have anything going on that looks like it could be it should be on a form, right? We all have the form for disease form. We want to make sure that if they have anything on their face and the ref happens to see a little bit under the beard, and if you're trying to conceal it, that's unsportsmanlike.
And Carm, to be clear, you have to be able to see through the beard, right?
No,
No?
no longer,
Okay.
no. So if a thick beard, you know, one of these guys has a thick beard, they're gonna let it go.
Okay.
We're letting it go. Okay? All right, guys, that's gonna do it. Any questions on any rules or the arbiter or anything else? You all have our numbers. We're available. Give us a call. If Kevin didn't get you, some guys are gonna get.
Yeah, I'm just gonna mention if guys are here, is, Gary Ann here? Yeah. Can you meet with,
Over in the back, Kevin.
Amity?
Family talks here.
Can you meet with me also outside, just real quickly? Kent? Can you meet with me outside? We've got some tournaments that you guys have. I need to know how many matches, what time, that kind of thing. So the South Windsor. Can you meet with me? You 4 guys so far. Ellis,
Back. Yep.
Fairfield Ludlow.
Can we grab these guys real quick?
If you can take them out there to go over any stuff,
Is that okay?
if you can do that there, I'm gonna go on to the next stuff though. We're not gonna
Notre
wait.
Dame, West Haven. Can you meet with me outside right now?
That's it.
Could be.
Ledger.
He sent me to sick. He couldn't be. We're gonna continue on without them though. We have quite a bit of stuff to cover.
Granby. Let me finish up. Granby,
Sorry.
Portland and Xavier.
Again, those are teams with tournaments that they want to determine how many mats and how many officials are needed.
And Suffield.
Thanks. All good? All right, I'm gonna continue on in a kind of haphazard, random order. Sarah doesn't want to go through a whole speech like last year, but currently there are 3 that we know of, girls tournaments during the season. They're on a Sunday. Because they're on a Sunday, make sure your school gets CIAC permission to do so. Foreign has already done that. They did that last year for their tournament, which this year will be on January 28th, a Sunday. Again, with Sunday, it's a later start time.
No. Well, at least for the Queen of the Mountain, we have, we got permission for the 8 o'clock weigh and 9 o'clock start.
Oh.
They gave us permission.
Then I may change that for the Grizzle tournament if I can get the same kind of permission. Special, that's that double secret, whatever they call code.
If we're gonna go to that, does our school need that permission?
No, by it's being sanctioned by the CIAC, it is cleared. Some schools, listen, if you're from, I don't know, St. Paul, I'm just picking them, that's the first saint that comes to my mind. They may say, oh, no, you don't. Sunday morning is not for wrestling. I don't know that. I'm just saying possible. St. Paul says, okay. Xavier, I don't know about that. They can wrestle if it's midnight. And then I saw a post for Fairfield Ludlow. Not having it. All right. It shows up currently on the CIC website only because I believe Morgan added it to their schedule. Sometimes things show up on the CIAC website, like on the master wrestling schedule. And I happen to see that showing up. So we'll erase that up there. So there's 2 of them. There's the state open. And then this year, New England's, which the girls will qualify for New England's from our state open. I might as well mention that real quickly. The New England girls tournament, we run like our open, meaning concurrent with the New England championship. Couple of mats Friday night, 15 man bracket, 4 from Mass, 3 from Connecticut, and 2 each from the other 4 New England states. So 15 person bracket, NFHS 12 weight classes. The same thing we're using in Connecticut. All the New England states will use for the girls, the NFHS 12. The boys is the NFHS 14, which if you don't already know, it's some slight changes from 144 on up. I know I'm kind of jumping around, but that's the girls' tournament. So if you have a girl this year who primary reason for wanting to maybe not go in the girls' Connecticut championship because maybe she thought she could medal and place and qualify for New England's because there's a girls' New England. Understand if a girl in Connecticut opts to wrestle in the state open, which they still can do, that would preclude them from qualifying for the New England girls tournament because the only qualifying mechanism is by placing in the top 3 at our girls state championship. So again, you can still make that choice, but it would disqualify you from being able to be eligible to go in the girls' New England championship. If you placed for Connecticut, you could go in the New England's, in the boys, we'll call it the boys tournament, but you can't cross over to the girls if you opt for the boys state open. Everybody understand that? Okay. I'm going to jump around a little bit. The CIAC is in the process of updating their website. Most of you are familiar with what I'll call the CIAC old site, and this is still active and it's still the primary place to go. It has the packet. It has linked to schedules, old tournament results. It has last date to count, first day to practice, first contest, all that kind of stuff. It has the wrestling weight calculator. I strongly suggest using that. If you go to that, you can put in preliminary measurements and weights of your kid, and it will tell you what their descent will allow them to go to. You can do that prior to certifying your kids.
Well, you have to do the calipers and everything.
Absolutely.
You'll need the AD, the trainer to do that.
Not if you're just kind of do some preliminary testing. If you're just trying to get an idea of where your kid is and you know what you're doing, you can do it. You're not entering any results. This is, you can just put in numbers and see kind of where they want to go. However, this is important. When you do your school certification, if you have a kid who, when you see the numbers before they are submitted to CIAC, you see that they're not yet where you need them to be, do not submit that kid's certification. You do not have to certify all your kids on the same day. You have to simply certify them before your first competition, okay? And they're the individual wrestlers' first competition. So if they're not certified, they can't wrestle until they are certified. And don't be asking the ref or the other team, he's not certified, can we do a JV match? No, they can't wrestle until they're certified. So if he's not quite down, say he came from football and he's losing a couple more pounds, don't certify him yet. Wait another week or whatever it takes. You might miss a match, but if it allows them to get where you want them to be, then I suggest you wait a little bit. Once you send in your certification data, you are locked in unless you are doing the appeal or you're doing the under 7, under 12 required doctor visit. And to clarify that, last year, not many teams took advantage of the new ability to appeal your testing. As you know, the caliper testing can vary a little bit depending on who's doing it and all that. You have to follow the exact procedure. You have to have that done right after they pass the hydration testing. You can't hydrate, and you all know this, but I say it because new people may not know it. You can't hydrate test, then have a practice, and then snip and weigh. It's hydration test, measurements, scale. There can be no activity between. Everybody understand that? Those three parts happen immediately and consecutively because you can't dehydrate yourself to get down to a lower weight. So if you get a kid who is less than 7 for the boys and less than 12 for the girls, or less than either one, if they are transgender, please check with your school, check with ADs, because they now have a line in the packet about, please check with the CIAC about the proper number that should be used for a transgender athlete. It's a little vague in the packet, but it's meant to protect the health and safety of all individuals. I digress. So if you have someone who's under those thresholds, they cannot wrestle until they do one of two things. A, you go to the doctor, as always in the past. There's the form in the packet, I can pull it up, that says that they are healthy and okay to go at that weight. They can't go lower. It doesn't allow them to lose any weight because whatever their alpha weight was, they are below the threshold, but it allows them to compete. You can also avoid going to the doctor if you think, and it's for some people cheaper. I mean, medical, some people have insurance. I don't want to make this costly. The in-body testing is fairly cheap. If you call around, the one I went to last year in Putnam to do a sample test, it was $20. Other places are cheaper. Some places are more expensive. You can do the search. The link is in the packet. I searched earlier. Within 20 miles of Cheshire, there are like 15 sites that offer the in-body testing. It's got to be a quality machine. It says in the back of the 570 or the 770. It can't be like the $200 impedance scale that's not all that accurate. It's a high level of testing, which will show you your body fat percentage, which can save you that doctor's form. It can also be used for a wrestler who is not below those thresholds, but by virtue of what was recorded, doesn't allow them to go as low as you hoped. Meaning, you have a boy that comes in at 13%, and it says he can only go down to 122.5. And you hope the kid can go 120/122. You can do the appeal testing. Can't wrestle until you do the appeal. Do the appeal, and maybe his body fat under the in-body testing, instead of being, whatever I said before, 13%, is really 17%. That would allow his optimal weight to be lower. You still have to use your alpha weight. What I mean by that is the weight at certification is the only weight we know that was achieved through hydration. So that weight, your alpha weight, can't change. It does have on the form, they write down what the weight is when you go for the in-body testing. But if you certified that day at 124 and you go to get the test and you're 121, that part doesn't matter. It's just the body fat percentage might be better. This is mostly intended, to be honest, for the girls. The 2-point testing system that we use is relatively accurate, depending on the administrator, for the boys, but it's less accurate for the girls. The girls are suggested they do a 5. It's probably beyond our current expertise, and most states don't separate it. But for $20, it may be worth doing for some of you. So that's the part about the appeal. So, first day of certification, first day of practice. If you want to certify that early, you can. If you ask most veteran coaches in the room, most are not certifying that first week. However, also, most are not waiting until the day before your first competition. Because if you have kids who are out, or kids who are not where they need to be, or your stuff doesn't get sent in on time, you can't compete unless you have that descent form from CIAC that's been put in to the system. So I think most coaches, correct me if I'm wrong, kind of shoot towards that end of the week, Friday-ish of the week before your opener. Traditionally, that makes the most sense to me. You're towards the end of a week, your kids are probably a little lighter, maybe they want to be. That gives you 3 or 4 days to figure out where they are. But again, don't submit a kid on your CIAC form if they're not yet where you want them to be, because you can't change that. They can't wrestle. If you're doing the appeal, that's one thing, but they still can't compete until they do the appeal. Okay on that?
If you submit it on Friday, you get 1.5% on Monday.
Yeah. Hear what he said? It's that 1.5% per week. If you do it on a Monday, your first 1.5% doesn't kick in until the following week. If you test on a Friday, the following week, you're already able to be 1.5% down.
entered on that Friday, not wait till Monday.
Right, entered into the CIAC system on that Friday. We've had coaches who have done your trainer does the test on Friday, but the AD doesn't put the data in until Monday. That's the date they go by, is when it's entered into the system. Okay, everybody good on that? Scale. I don't think anybody it's hard to get sales certified. If you have an electronic scale, it should be accurate. You get on another scale, hopefully they're pretty accurate. If you go to somewhere and you got scales that are way off, that's got to be between the official and the school and the team. But I don't. All those scale certifier guys, they're all dead. I mean, yeah, it costs a fortune, and I don't think it's a real common job these days. The weights, the Department of Weights and Measures, I don't know anybody paying $700 a year to have their scale certified. So, yeah, you can tweak it a little bit. Yeah, hopefully your scales are good. Real quick on flow. First of all, there's been some concern because flow is essentially not supporting the Flow Arena to the same level this year, as they own both Flow and Track. And the two platforms owned by the same company running together, kind of costly. They're going to be combining the two probably for next year with one sort of combined platform. It's still fully in use in Connecticut, Massachusetts, all around here. And all of the tournaments that are being run through DESI and CAP wrestling and all of that, all still the same. But you probably won't be able to do your own on your own tournament unless you've already had DESI or Sarah put in some tournaments ahead of time. But you won't maybe get quite the same support.
I was just gonna tell you, I have a couple extra slots. If people haven't created a tournament yet, they could use my tournament slot. But I make sure that.
Yeah, and if you need DESI or someone from CAP to run your tournament, it's a fee involved, but it's full. If they're doing it, it's fully paperless. I know some of you have people do a tournament on Flow, and all they're doing is putting the results in the computer, but it's still all paper and flip charts and all that. If you're having somebody from CAP do it, it's like the state tournament, meaning you've got the electronic scoreboards, you got each table has the computer, and it's fully electronic. All data is being pulled in. Speaking of, oh yes, full question. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I was just asking if you're using Flow to run the tournament, but you don't have somebody from Flow actually on site. Do they set up, or they just kind of walk through it, like setting up? Like, if you rent all the screens, do they come and help set the gym up, or do they just help you negotiate that?
You can talk to it, but generally you want somebody.
Say, here you go.
Your best bet is to have somebody there to do it.
Well,
or if you have someone who knows what
if he says he might have a guy, but he said they'll definitely have somebody working behind the scenes.
Okay.
But as far as setting everything up at the school, like the routers and everything like that.
Unless you've got someone coming down, that part can be tricky.
Well, that's why I'm asking.
Yeah.
I barely get through my email.
Yeah, I would see who he's got. If he doesn't have someone, let me know the date and I'll see what I can do. If you're a new coach and you do not yet have a Flow login, please email me, let me know, and I'll add you to a team. I pulled up Grizzled, for instance, on here. I can pull up their calendar. Some of the tournaments haven't popped up on the calendar, but I re-added the Lancer. You can look each month. The calendar for tournament shows up there. Your roster, as you have kids who graduated, you can delete them. As new kids come in, you would add them. Under security is where I add other users. If you have a new coach, I will add the new coach as an authorized user. Reports. You should look at your reports prior to the last day when all of your stuff is due to CIAC. I can't fix most of your problems on that Sunday night when you have 7 matches that have not been entered all year. Please understand it affects not only your kid, but everybody who's beaten them during the season, the way the points work. So take a look at your reports. It's pretty much the CIAC high school season report. I think I pulled one up here from the other day. I was looking at something for Joel Barlow. So here's a season report. It shows wins and losses, and it should match what you have for records. If it doesn't match, you probably did something wrong, meaning you had a JV tournament where you clicked it as varsity, or he had a forfeit that he lost by forfeit in a tournament and you didn't uncheck it as varsity. That's how you would make it not count, is to uncheck it as varsity. So I'm more than happy to help everybody during the season. And I get a lot of calls and emails, and we'll make sure your records are right. But I had a team last year, 2 teams last year, on that Sunday night, they literally had like 6 or 7 matches that were not in flow. I can't fix it at that point. It needs overnight to cycle, and it's affecting everybody else's record who beat them. I don't understand how you can have a dual meet with someone and neither one of you puts the stuff in for 3 weeks and nobody knows that. You don't both have to put it in, but somebody's got to put it in. Generally, we go by the theory of the home team puts the results in. But if you're not the home team and you don't see results, email them. Ask them to put it in. If you still don't see it, screw it. Put the stuff in. It's not that hard. You can put, no one cares in flow who shows as the home team or if the time is wrong at 5:30 instead of 6. Just need the results. The results have to be in there. So someone's got to put them in. If you go to a multi and nobody's the home team, we've usually said the winner puts it in. I don't care. Somebody, please put in the results. And you can see results that way. So that's a quick thing on flow. I'll send out another link of how to do all the flow stuff if you're not sure how to do things as far as entering results and all of that stuff. The CIAC website, as I mentioned, they are updating their website. I don't know if I can find the new one here. I had it up before. I guess it's almost fully loaded, but it has some more of those important dates. And we had teams last year whose kids did not appear on tournament t-shirts because they ignored like roster submission dates and all that kind of stuff. So please make sure you're getting your information in. This is the new website. It was a little different. I think it's almost loaded. I was looking at a volleyball bracket or something, but on the side, sports specific info. If I go to winter sports and wrestling, I get all these tabs, important dates, info packet. That's the packet, which you all should read. The weight calculator we just talked about, how to submit scores, skin condition form, the divisions for this year, past champions, all that kind of stuff. But like, here's all the important dates about 2-pound allowance and season starts and when body fat testing appeals and all of the seed meetings are all on the same day this year. They're going so fast, we're not driving here for 2 nights. And we're avoiding, what's that holiday? Valentine's Day. We're avoiding Valentine's Day this year so people are not in as much trouble. So they'll all be like an hour and 15 minutes and we'll get them all done on one night on February 13th. Yeah, as I'm jumping around, one other thing, this is Steve has been involved in this quite a bit. If anybody has someone they would like to nominate, don't do it tonight, but in the next couple days, nominate for the New England Wrestling Hall of Fame. Please let Steve or myself know in the next couple of days. If we get a whole bunch of nominees, we put it to a committee and all that type of stuff. But last year, Rich was last year, right? Bowen was last year. We got quite a few in the room that are members of that. Here, if you have someone you'd like to nominate, please let us know soon. Connecticut and Mass get to do one every year. The other states that are smaller, it's like a 2-year or 3-year rotation because they've run out of people to induct. Realistically, you only have 20 teams in the state. There's only so many people that you can be in. I mentioned the new weight classes and all of that, so you should be aware of those. Another site that is very handy, if you don't use it, is on the Connecticut Wrestling Online site. Jerry puts a lot of work into that site with results. He's got record books from prior year. You can find standings from last year. He does the laborious top 10 coaches poll. It's a handy site. If you're not familiar with it, ctwrestling.com. I strongly recommend checking that out. Harmon mentioned all about the arbiter. I have a couple more things I want to cover, and I just wanted to go through them here from the packet. Where's my packet? Packet. Biggest things about the packet this year. This year, there is no current change regarding the last date to count and the maximum number of multis and dates. It's something the committee is looking at to achieve two things: trying to extend the last date to count so that it includes all conference tournaments. Right now, the only one that's included is the CCC because they wrestled theirs prior to the last date to count. It's still the same number of dates and all that, but I think it's beneficial to include your conference tournaments as much as possible because you're somewhat guaranteed to meet some good people in the finals, which some people are able to avoid throughout the season. So I think that's beneficial. Committee's been working on trying to come up with reasonable limitations regarding number of multis, number of dates, and all that to try to include enough to make everybody's schedule work the way it should. But it's kind of been the suggestion of the committee and with other states, if you look at their limitations, that maybe it's not in your kids or your kids' parents or your program's growth to go into an individually bracketed tournament on all 9 of your Saturdays where you're leaving at 5 in the morning and getting home at 9 at night. I'm just saying, general consensus is maybe either one Saturday off or maybe a quad or even a multi-team dual tournament that would end at 2:30 or 3 o'clock, and do what some schools are doing, a Friday night quad as an option. Just saying that those are things that other sports, other states, other things are looking at, that maybe having one shortened Saturday or a Saturday off is not the end of the world. When you look at the number of matches, look at look at Pennsylvania and New York, 5 tournaments is the limit, 6 tournaments is a limit. Yep.
Big enough limit. So let's say we have a girl on the team, she did one of the Sunday tournaments. They can only do half most 2 competitions 1 week, correct? So like, let's say she doesn't turn out Sunday, she does not compete the dual meet that Wednesday, she still competes in multiple events the following Saturday. Just need to make sure she does not participate, but practice competition 7 days in a row.
Not correct. Can't be 7 days in a row. The CIC week starts oddly on a Sunday, which from a logical standpoint, and again, we're on the committee and all that, you understand it would make more sense that a girl or anyone couldn't wrestle Wednesday, Saturday, Sunday, because that's like bing, bang, bang, boom, as opposed to Sunday and then skip Wednesday and then be okay for Saturday. But that's the way the week starts on Sunday. Listen, I don't think anybody's going to look to get your girl disqualified from the state tournament because she took off the Saturday, January 27th, instead of Wednesday, February 1st. Your intent is good, and it would be, I think, understandable if someone was confused about what day of the week it counted on. But that's the intent. Again, is to not have, for anybody, more than 2 competition dates in any week for both your team and for individuals. Good. State tournament sites. Trumbull, double L back there. L is at Wilton this year. Guilford is down to M this year. So Guilford is hosting the M's, and Killingly is once again hosting the S's. New England's are back at Providence, again, including the first ever girls tournament. Seed points are all calculated through Flow. When you enter them at the end of the season, you've got to put in your record and your total seed points from that form that I showed you pop up earlier. There's the link right here for the in-body testing. I'm going to pull it up just to show you how it works. When you go to that, for nearest testing location, just put in your zip code. I got Cheshire in here. You got to check the right models. I'm going to check that 770 and the 570. And now as I scroll out, it'll show me the places that have that. And just call them. You click on one of these places, Plainville Strength and Wellness has an in-body 570. Call up and ask them. They might do it for free. You might find people are $5, $10. If they tell you it's $50, call somewhere else. Okay? Because the ones I've called are like $20. Hey, listen, if you're in Fairfield, you might have to pay $50 because of the, cost of living. But I don't know. You ever done one down there? Know what it costs? We had a few people last year. We had a few. I know there was a few that did come in last year. I also had people asking, saying they got a friend who's got a in-body 270 and they want to do the whole team. It's got to be that level of machine, the 570 or the 770, to be able to do that. Lastly, this year we are doing the M&S unofficial state duels. We got 8 teams, maybe adding a 9th. We got big trophies and all the awards for that. Maybe next year something will happen with the L and double L scenario. If you have questions during the season, if it's about rules, like wrestling rules, check with Carmen. If it's about weight certification stuff or stuff with flow, any of that kind of stuff, by all means, call me, text me, email me, whatever. I try to get back to you pretty quickly. When I send out those reminder emails, I purposely don't do everybody on the mailing list. I do the blind CC because some of you like to reply all for every little thing, and you would drive all your fellow coaches relatively crazy. So I do it as the blind CC. You reply to me, I'll send it back out to people. But I send out that coach's contact list based on the Chromebook going around tonight, which I still, hopefully, is Beth. Anybody from Bethel here tonight? Anybody know if Bethel has a coach? They have a coach? And yes? Good. That's one I didn't have anything on my list. I know there were some changeovers, as there always are. This year's a little bit fewer, I think, than last year was a huge turnover year. But still looking for Bethel and a few others. But I try to keep that coaches list. There's also that link about open dates. And that one you can edit. I don't allow you to edit the coaches list because, no offense, it's easy for someone to like delete it, really screw it up. So, but the dates, people already have dates up here looking for teams for certain dates. There's an official CIAC website page. You can do that, but I hardly ever see much on there. So I try to put this out as a shared document. If you have dates you're trying to fill, there are people looking for dates on here. Please look there, see what they're looking for, see what you're looking for to try to fill those. Especially try to help out some of those independent schools that have trouble filling Wednesday nights because most conferences take up all their Wednesdays. Steve, anything else?
No, I think just the only thing I would say is in terms of giving your kids a little bit of rest, be mindful that with the new rule, with 6 matches in a day and 30-minute rests, that some of your kids, if they're wrestling back to 3rd or 5th over the course of the season, they could wrestle 58 times. If you don't think that's going to burn some people out, you don't remember your own history very well. So really, really, really be careful and be cognizant of the fact that a soft Saturday or two will actually be a good thing for your families and your kids. It's not going to cause your team to be a weaker team. And it's certainly what we're in this business for as kids. It's not going to cause that kid to be less of a man or a woman. All right. So be mindful of that stuff, right? 58 matches, a lot of freaking matches. All right, that's all I got.
Anything else for the betterment of the group here? Just give it, listen, we've gone as quick as we can. I know it's a lot of time, but one time a year, hour and 15 minutes. There are states that do require coaches to take a test, a rule book test, so that they're kind of guaranteed to be a little familiar with the rules. So that's not the worst idea. Review the rule book. Review the packet. Yes, question? No. The records, good point. For your records, here are the things that do not count on your kids' varsity state seating record. Matches against prep schools. I don't mean Fairfield Prep. I mean the true prep schools. Loomis, Iona Prep. The prep schools that recruit and steal your best kids. Those guys. Those matches don't count. Matches that are out of state, if they are not New England or New York. Other than that, those don't count. New England and New York count. Kind of an important note. If you go to New York, they went, in case you missed it, some of these smaller states that just don't have any depth, like Pennsylvania and New York, they went down to 13 weight classes. You know, we have a lot of bodies, so we would stay with 14 in New England. But New York went with 12, the NFHS 12, and they added 101 because they have 7th and 8th graders that are competing at the high school level. If you go to a tournament in New York, whatever the state is that hosts it, 101 would be considered a legitimate varsity weight class. However, if you, Xavier, I'm pointing to you, if you host a tournament and you add a 100-pound weight class, that is not an official weight class. Understand the difference? The state you go to, their weight classes are their official weight classes. New England's all the same. But if you go to New York or elsewhere, their official weight classes makes it official for you. But if you have a tournament in Connecticut, you can't add a 99. That would be checked off as not varsity. So it doesn't affect their record. If you wrestle a teammate in a tournament, go to both kids' results and uncheck it, not varsity. It counts for you. If Bunnell wrestles a JV kid from Ram in a tournament, and it's a varsity level tournament, that win counts for him. It's just if you wrestle a teammate in a tournament, it doesn't count. If you go to a JV tournament, those don't count. If you go to a girls only tournament, those do not count for your varsity records. Again, if you forfeit in a tournament, that loss does not count. The win still counts for the winner. You have to go into your results and uncheck it as varsity. That's how you get it to not count in your season summary. Uncheck it as varsity for all those scenarios we just mentioned.
If you go out of state, you want to go down, if you want to go to a certain weight, just based on the line, as long as your certification brings you below that weight, that week, you're good.
As long as your certification brings you below that weight, absolutely.
Even though it's not weight class, it's that weight.
Yes, yep. So whatever your minimum weight is for that week, you can go that weight. And if it's one of their official weights,
that might be lower than yours.
Might be lower than yours. Yes, because remember, we don't seed people based on their win-loss record only at their weight class. You can have a kid wrestle up all year. We've had people do this. They certified and weighed in every time at 113, but they wrestled the whole season at 120 for more competition. Tournament rolls around, people are like, whoa, how's this kid going 113? Well, he weighed in at 113, at least 1/3 of his weigh-ins. So he can go to that lower weight class. Same thing with out of state. You're going to put your results in, and it may be not one of our sanctioned weight classes, but if it is sanctioned in the state you went to, we count it as varsity. Anything else on records and such? Yep. Oh, excellent point from Coach Velas. We call this the Lindner rule. If you lose to the same kid more than twice, uncheck it as varsity. The winner can still count those wins, but the reason for this, a couple years ago, the kid from Montville, Linder, he lost to Ware, 5 times? I think he had 6 losses on the season. 5 of them were to Ware. So we set it up so that people aren't then forfeiting in a tournament because they don't want to be taking multiple losses. They keep, oh man, I keep seeing this kid, he keeps beating me. So what? He beat you twice, he can't beat you anymore in terms of your seeding record. Everybody understand that? Thank you, Peter. Is that it? All good? Good luck to everybody. Thank you. Watch yourself on the way out. Watch yourself, try to get that. Try to find that Chromebook. Yep.
You're gonna do our tournament on the 6th, right?
Yep.
All right, perfect. I was on touch base.
It didn't happen. But we had the 8th. Well, we had the 8th. I put out word. He's nervous about 12 the first year. And I understand. So the most we're gonna go to is 9. But they would still get more active, whether it's 8 or 9, to a pool flex. So,
Dave, I'm gonna take it.
yes, please do. Yes, both boxes, all those big trophies. Let me just pull this back in a little bit, so it trips on that board.
Last year for my June meet tournament, I was trying to set up the teams on low, but it wouldn't let me because I was in like the teams that are wrestling without working next year. I think this year.
You should be able to set up your team against everybody else. Just ask them to set up, they can do it right that day of the match. That's, you know, like, you can do it. It's so tricky. You have to go and like set up as your team, and then like you could like change the team.
I did.
You should be able to do it that way.
Okay.
And kind of work around it. But to be honest, unless you know what the rules are and all that, let them do it that day. But they should be able to do that by this point.
But so the in-body procedure, like assuming that their body is affected by medication, we're going to do the hydration. I'm going to do that. Do I put it in the system, or do I? Then it feels that.
Or that kid wrestles. The latest date is like December 24th. December 24th is like the latest date. But they just can't wrestle. They do it. Then once you get that sheet, it's a 4-minute sheet. There's the sheet and the form of the packet. It's sent to CIAC, and we have to fit the kind of manually tweak to make it work. Make it work for the donor.
I would say that.
Yes. Yep. Take your route. You gotta get the numbers. Percentage that's the best. Okay. We got everything we need. Where's the comments? That's true. All right, so I'm scheduled to pick 5 states. So once again, 9 others.